Very busy morning.
Yes.
We're going to get to traffic and weather in just a bit, but we are starting with this breaking news. The Key Bridge in Baltimore, it has completely collapsed.
You just saw the video behind us. It happened right before 1:30 this morning, and we know several people ended up in the water. Well, 7 News' Joy Wang is live on her way to the bridge right now. As you just saw, Joy, you mentioned you just saw some flashing lights headed your way.
Yeah, we are on I-695 right now heading toward the Key Bridge. About 30 seconds ago, we saw the flashing lights go by. Baltimore Fire, they are calling this a mass casualty event. Right now, you're seeing our chopper flying over that scene. It just got there. We're told search and rescue divers, they are looking for at least 7 people. And we're also told that work was being done at the time. All of this happening around 1:30 this morning. And so there were multiple vehicles that fell into the water. And we actually saw video, too, of that actual crash where you're seeing the ship kind of approach that bridge, that ship catching on fire, falling into the water, the bridge also collapsing. And so quickly, we want to let you know, Baltimore Fire, they are calling this, again, a developing mass casualty event. Search and rescue divers, they're looking for at least 7 people right now. And we're also told there was work being done on the bridge at the time. And so some of those multiple vehicles that fell, one of them even the size of a trailer. This bridge also impacted too by a lot of traffic in the area. It is shut down 695 in both directions. We are seeing a huge response from first responders on scene. But because of that work being done on the bridge at that time too, there's also some potential maybe like things hanging off of the bridge as well. It's creating an unsafe and unstable condition for the fire department, and they say they really have to keep in mind because of that process. So search and rescue making things a little bit more difficult because of just how unstable and unsafe that bridge is now that it has collapsed. And so we again are on our way right now. This is a quick look, not hitting traffic just yet here on 695. We are expecting to see some of those lights shortly. And as you just saw, we are definitely approaching that bridge already. A sign on the left showing us getting up to Francis Scott Key Bridge. From now on, live here in Baltimore, Joy Wang, 7 News.
And just as Joy mentioned, our SkyTrack 7 over the scene right now. I just checked with our Eileen Whalen, and it's going to be a while before it's light enough out there. They're having to use all of those spotlights right now. And you can see our SkyTrack 7's moving around a little bit more. I wanted to give you a little bit more context as to what we're seeing right now. You did see some of the video that Joy just showed you a moment ago, but I want to show you one more time this video of the actual collapse. So go ahead and take a look right here. You're going to see the cargo ship right there as it hits one of the pillars of the bridge. It comes down, right? So I've been able to get some information on that ship this morning. I'm going to go ahead and move off of this and take you over here to, this is a site called Marine Traffic, and they track global shipping. And what I've learned about this ship, it is a container ship. It's known as the DALI. It's about 300 meters long, more than 48 meters wide. It's a container ship, and you can even see right over here, you see where my mouse is in the middle of the screen, that long green icon there represents the ship. You see it right there in this Francis Scott Key Bridge. Now, if I take a look at its route, it was coming out of just, one of the docks, came around, immediately hit it. I've learned a little bit about the vessel. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. As I mentioned, it is a very large cargo ship, and it's unclear at this particular point exactly who is in the water. Was it anyone in the ship, anyone above on the bridge itself? As soon as I get more information, I'll let you know. I can tell you that I did talk to the Coast Guard this morning that confirmed this is the ship involved.
On top of that, breaking news, the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore has collapsed. So Joy Wang is live right now with the latest on this. Joy.
We just got an update from the fire department. We're told that number, we were saying 7 about half an hour ago, that number now up to 20. And all of this happening around 1:30 this morning. We can show you some video right now of what led up to this collapse. You do see the silhouette of a boat approaching that bridge. This boat, by the way, trying to leave Baltimore at the time. And it actually shows the boat going up in flames, sinking into the water, and then leading to that bridge collapse. Chopper also flew over that scene as well. Again, search and rescue saying that they're looking for up to 20 people. That's according to Baltimore Fire. And I do know that this bridge, it's about this boat. It's about 1,000 feet long, and it flies under the flag of Singapore. And so the concern right now, too, is also the search and rescue crews. We're told that there was work being done overnight, work being done at the time as well. And so there's a lot of concern, too, about the structure of that bridge now that it's collapsed. And for this search and rescue first responder team, they were also seeing some potential cargo hanging as well, which is creating an unsafe and unstable condition for these first responders. So they're keeping that in mind as they continue this search and rescue process. We're also told multiple vehicles on that bridge at the time, including one the size of a tractor trailer. Now we're going to send things over to Brad Bell, our Maryland bureau chief, for some more information. Brad, what have you learned?
Yeah, Joy, look, I can't add much to the details of what you've said right there with the number of vehicles and that sort of thing. Obviously, we've seen the video. There were vehicles crossing the bridge when this ship did strike what's called a bridge pier, right? So these bridges are built on essentially man-made islands in the water. They've got concrete, they've got steel vertical structures, and then the bridge is supported by the cables. And when what we understand is when one element of that structure is compromised, then the entire bridge loses its strength, and in this case, it did seem to just straight out collapse. Very large cargo ship in the port of Baltimore. So there is a tremendous impact. Not only those who were on the bridge, those who are being inconvenienced because this route is cut down, but as we said just a short time ago, this essentially amounts to a blockade of the Baltimore harbor. No ships will be able to go in or out. That includes the cruise ships that operate in and out of here, the other cargo ships. As we say, this is the outer harbor crossing. There are two tunnels, 895 and 95, the Fort McHenry and Key tunnels, as well as this outer crossing. This bridge here gets the least amount of traffic of those routes. The others are really the main I-95 route, and this is the eastern extremity of essentially the Baltimore Beltway. It gets a lot of traffic, but not as much as those other crossings. We have seen essentially a scramble to get resources to this location. We've seen fire trucks towing inflatable boats trying to get out to see if they can do a search. But this is just an absolute calamity in this region and really nationally as well. It's a major route in addition to the loss of life. Back to you guys.
And Brad, you mentioned that cargo ship. I'm at the alert desk right now taking a look at some more details on the cargo ship. And I do want to give you some more information here. Oh, and it looks like we just had a pop-up start. Okay, let me pop this back over here. Go ahead and take a look. I want to take this full right now so you get a better chance to see it. This is marinetraffic.com. You're going to notice this big green icon in the center of the screen. That is representing the cargo ship. And I can even show you that the route it was taking. It's known as the DALI, and it appeared to have been docked ahead of time and was making its way out of the harbor when it struck the bridge. Now, I do have some information about this cargo ship. I'm going to go ahead and blow this up so that you get a better chance to see it. It is a pretty large container ship. This is what we know so far. I'm pulling up. It's about 300 meters long and 48 meters wide. So it's a very, very large container ship there. And again, it's unclear if anyone on board this ship is also, part of who they're looking for. As Brad mentioned, this is really going to cause a lot of issues. And he mentioned the traffic as well. We have our Britt Waters standing by in the traffic center to let you know a little bit more about how to avoid this area. And Britt, as you mentioned, no one's going to be able to get close to this.
Absolutely. Things are closed down in both directions. So outer loop closed at Quarantine Road and then inner loop closed at Peninsula Expressway. That is so you can bypass the bridge completely and not arrive anywhere close to pretty much a dangerous active investigation.
This is Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. It just collapsed. There it goes, collapsing overnight after it was hit by a cargo ship. Now, this is a major breaking story we have been following since it happened, being called a mass casualty event. Search and rescue operations are now underway.
And of course, we have team coverage on this. 7 News' Joy Wang is live in Baltimore, where the bridge came falling down early this morning. Lindsay Mastis, of course, is at the alert desk following the latest developments.
We're going to start with Joy Wang. And Joy, what are you seeing there?
Baltimore Fire, they were calling this a mass casualty event. The number now up to 20 people that they are searching for. And we have been seeing those first responder vehicles going up onto the bridge behind me over and over again. So take a look at this video right now that you're seeing on your screen. It shows the moment this cargo ship, this 1,000-foot-long cargo ship hitting the bridge, and that bridge then collapsing. Now, the cargo ship does catch on fire and then it sinks into the water, and you are also seeing that bridge collapse. Again, the fire chief saying that they are now searching for up to 20 people, and at the time of that collapse, we're told multiple vehicles were also on that bridge, including one the size of a tractor trailer. Also, there was overnight work being done as well, and so this is definitely a very big response. We're told the FBI also on scene right now, and over the last hour, we have been seeing over and over again a number of those flashing lights, those underwater rescue teams moving in and out of the area as authorities and officials continue to bring in more support and complete this rescue mission. We do want to mention a little bit more about that ship, by the way. Again, 1,000-foot-long ship. It was leaving Baltimore at the time, and right now there is a huge search and rescue mission underway. Live in Baltimore, Joy Wang, back to you.
And I'm at the alert desk right now, continuing to follow the breaking news. Now, Joy just mentioned the ship, and I wanted to give you some more context to this ship as well. It's a very large ship, as she mentioned. I'm taking a look at marinetraffic.com. I want to go ahead and take this screen full so that you get a chance to see this. Look at the center of your screen. You're going to notice a green icon. That is representing the ship, and you can see where it's located right there, where the bridge came down. Now, I'm also able to see the route that it took, right? So it was actually leaving the harbor. It was docked and then it left the harbor, and we're trying to figure out what was going on that ship to lead up to this. Was there an emergency situation that led to this? I've learned some information about this ship as well. Let me go ahead and make this picture a little bit bigger. All of this coming from Marine Traffic. And let me go ahead and pop this up. I know that Joy just mentioned a few of the details as well. This is a container ship. It is Singapore flagged, and we also know that it was pretty wide as well. You can even see from the video just how big it was in comparison to that ship. Now, I also want to show you what the bridge looks like before it collapsed. So this is coming from Google Street View, and a couple other views of it. A very, very large bridge here. This was a bridge that was actually built back in 1977. That's when it opened. We're still trying to figure out exactly what work was being done on this bridge leading up to this as well. So a lot of questions this morning, but one of the big issues is if you're headed up this way, you'll want to avoid this area. And of course, our Britt Waters is in the traffic center, who will have more information on that as well.
Absolutely. You can't really access that area at all if you're trying to head anywhere near there. 695 in Baltimore, outer loop closed at Quarantine Road. Another closure in place on the inner loop side, closed at Peninsula Expressway. If you're like, I still got to go to work, this is a situation that I need to work around. I-95 is available, Maryland 295 and also 895 are there to get you where you need to go while still avoiding that Francis Scott Key Bridge. Let's move
over the scene in Baltimore. The Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsing into the Patapsco River. Well, search efforts are still underway for people believed to be in the water. We have live team coverage throughout the morning as we work to gather more information on this, and we'll be back with continuing coverage in just a moment. Welcome back. 6:13, SkyTrack 7 up live over the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. It was hit by a ship overnight and collapsed into the river below. Cars also falling into the water. In fact, our Joy Wang just a few minutes ago said the number of people they're looking for, rescue crews, has gone from 7 to 20. We have crews on the scene getting new information right now. Of course, we have live team coverage throughout the morning. 7 News Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell is as close as police will allow him to get to that bridge. He joins us now live. Brad, what can you see here?
Yeah, well, we're expecting to have a press conference in a little while with the Baltimore City Mayor, Baltimore City Fire as well. And they're going to talk about the rescue operation, right? There's a number of things going on here. There's structural concerns about the bridge and all of that, but also there's a rescue operation. Now, I just had an opportunity to speak to him briefly a minute ago, he said they don't really know how many people they're looking for. So we've been saying these numbers, these are estimates. I can tell you that one person did come out of the water. The Baltimore City Fire spokesperson, not saying who it was, but someone else out here I spoke to said it was actually someone from the ship that ended up in the water, that was brought out and has been transported for treatment. So what we're going to hear is the number of resources that are here. And we know there are dive teams from all of the jurisdictions. They've been rushing to get boats in the water to get out there. They've got dive teams. But some of the challenges they're talking about, it is dark. There is zero visibility in the water. This is not clear water here in Baltimore Harbor in the Patapsco River. It is murky on the best of days. They've got current. They've got the temperature. It is very cold out here. So those are all of the challenges now with regard to the rescue operations. You might have heard something now. They're actually handing out some hand warmers here to the members of the press that have gathered, that have been out here in the cold. So we will be setting up here for this press conference. Certainly we'll bring that to you live when the mayor of Baltimore, Baltimore City Fire Chief arrive on scene. I'll send it back to you guys now.
Yeah, and Brad, we're waiting for more information. Good news to hear at least one person has been pulled out alive and is getting treatment. Now, we do know that a state of emergency has already been called, and this is coming just a short time ago from Maryland's governor, and that means there's going to be more federal resources headed this way. We also know that the transportation secretary has reached out as well, making sure that they're going to get information or get resources from the Department of Transportation, because this is going to be such a huge undertaking.
So at approximately 0140 hours this morning, our 911 center dispatched a call to the Baltimore City Fire Department for a report of a water rescue in the Patapsco River in the area of the Key Bridge. As units were responding, they began to receive numerous calls indicating multiple people in the water. At some point during that chain of events of calls, we began to receive indications that a ship may have struck the Key Bridge. We got further information through multiple calls that the Key Bridge, portions of the Key Bridge had actually collapsed. At about 0150 hours, our first unit arrived on scene and reported a complete collapse of the Key Bridge. We were also given information at that time that there were likely multiple people on the bridge at the time of the collapse, and that as a result, multiple people were in the water. We were able to remove 2 people from the water. One individual refused service and refused transport. Essentially, that person was not injured. However, there was another individual that's been transported to a local trauma center that is in very serious condition. At this time, we have multiple air assets from the Maryland State Police, as well as the Baltimore Police Department, as well as multiple marine assets from around the region, including Baltimore City, Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County, as well as multiple local and state police agencies, National Resources Police, BPD Special Ops Unit is in here, Maryland State Police is here. We have multiple resources. We are still very much in an active search and rescue posture at this point, and we will continue to be for some time. We have a large area that we have to search. This includes on the surface of the water, subsurface, as well as on the deck of the ship itself. We believe at this point we may be looking for upwards of 7 individuals. That's the latest information we have. However, what I will say is the information that I'm giving you right now is as of right now. That's what we know right now. This is a very large incident. It involves a very large footprint. Multiple agencies are operating, therefore information is subject to change as we get more intel and as our crews work through the morning. Over the next 8 to 12 hours, you can expect to continue to see our air and maritime assets functioning out on the water and in the air above. We need to do damage assessment of the ship itself before we can board that ship. and we need to continue our subsurface search, which is including different types of sonar. We have side scan sonar, we have other sonar capabilities here. We have underwater UAVs that we're working with, and throughout the night we've also been working with infrared technology, both from the air and on the water surface. So I'm going to wrap up here with just saying this continues to be a search and rescue operation. It continues to be a very dynamic operation with multiple local, state, and federal resources involved. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our Mayor, Mayor Brandon Scott.
Thank you, Chief. Everyone, this is a unthinkable tragedy. We have to first and foremost pray for all of those who are impacted, those families. Pray for our first responders and thank them, all of them working together, city, state, local, to make sure that we are working through this tragedy. This is an ongoing active research that we're having right now. We're going to continue, as you heard from Chief Wallace, throughout. As long as we have to be doing that, we will do it. But we have to be thinking about the families and people impacted, folks who we have to try to find and save. This is what our focus should be on right now. We're going to continue to work in partnership with every part of government to do everything that we can to get us through the other side of this tragedy. And with that, I'll turn it over to County Executive Olszewski.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. I think we all awoke this morning to an unspeakable tragedy. As the mayor indicated, we know that there will be families and individuals impacted by this, regardless of what happens the rest of the way out. So I would just echo the mayor in lifting up prayers for those who are impacted, but also ask that our residents pray for our first responders. They have been on scene since very early in the morning, not only conducting initial search and rescue operations, but planning for additional ones as the sun comes up. And the work that they do cannot be understated. And I want to just thank them for all that they are doing and will do in the hours and days ahead. We know that we have a long road ahead, not just in the search and rescue, but in the fallout following this. I think we appropriately have our attention on the search and rescue efforts currently, and just here alongside our partners in the city to say that they have our full support, just as we want to thank our state partners for the resources they've offered up, as well as the federal partners who have already reached out. The mayor and I have talked to the governor. We've heard from the Secretary of Transportation. So collectively, we thank everyone for their thoughts, their well wishes. But again, this is a very active situation, and we want to just thank the chief and our teams for all the great work they're doing. And with that, I'll turn things back over to the chief.
Thank you, County Executive Olszewski. We're going to do some Q&A right now. Now we're just going to go around, have everyone present one question. Go ahead,
Chief, can you tell us where the crew of the ship is? You also mentioned, too, that 2 people were rescued. Who made the first 911 call? And there were reports that it was a crew on the deck of the ship working at that point. Can you confirm any of that information?
The latest information we have on the crew of the ship is that they are still on board the ship. There's been comms between the ship crew and the Coast Guard. So as part of the overall operation, we communicate through the Coast Guard with the ship. And I'm sorry, your other questions?
There were 2 people taken. Who made the first 911 call?
I don't know who made that call yet.
Okay, and were there other workers on the deck of the ship or deck of the bridge at this point? We had heard that information. Can you confirm that?
We were being told there were workers on the bridge. We have yet to confirm that. We'll work with MDTA to obviously to get that information.
About how many cars were on that ship? Last question. On the deck of the bridge at the time it collapsed. You don't know?
Don't have a number. I can tell you our sonar has detected the presence of vehicles submerged in the water. I don't have a count of that yet.
Thank you.
Chief, you mentioned upwards of 7 individuals that you're looking for. We've heard reports of as many as 20 individuals. Can you just paint a more clear picture of about how many people actually fell into the water, how many people you might be looking to rescue, and also if you can give an idea of how many vehicles, although you might not have the answer, but really just the search and rescue mission?
Yeah, I'll start with the last one. So I don't know how many vehicles yet. I know that we have detected the presence of vehicles. As far as the number between the 7 and 20, that's been a dynamic count throughout the morning. just given the fact that we haven't yet nailed that number down. We do believe that at least 7 are involved in that, at least 7 at this point.
That fell into the water.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I know you said the crew was accounted for according to the Coast Guard on deck. Do we know if any of the crew members were part of these at least 7 people that may have been in the water?
We do not.
Chief, can I just ask, survivability in waters around this temperature is not very long. At what point do you shift focus to become more of a salvage operation?
So we'll be guided by our dive teams. We will determine what the temperature of the water is. The other issue that we have out there is this water is current influenced. So right now we think the tide is coming back in. That adds a bit of a challenge to us also. We can certainly dive in these conditions, but we have to take a lot of factors into play, right? The fact that there may be trauma involved, they have been in the water an extended period of time, but also remember we're battling darkness. So, it's quite possible that we may have somebody there that we've not seen yet. And as they work closer to the debris field, they'll obviously make those determinations. But we're going to rely on the experts, which are our dive masters that are here, our dive team, to tell us when they believe we've reached that non-survivability point.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Janine?
Chief Wallace, was there any indication that there was a problem on the ship? Was it led in by tugboats at any point during Mayday? Like anything that could, so far early on, point you to something went wrong?
We do not have that information with regard to the investigation. I would refer that to law enforcement. My focus since 1:40 this morning has been that rescue operation.
So far there's been no indication that any kind of like an emergency dispatch came from that ship beforehand?
I have no information about that, ma'am.
Have you been able to talk to the pilot, the American pilot on that bridge?
The pilot on the vessel?
Yeah.
We have not talked to the pilot on the vessel. The rescue personnel, the rescue operation, we have not interacted.
Just back over here.
What can you tell us about the victims that were pulled from the water? Man, woman?
I don't have age and
Sorry, again.
I'm sorry.
Update on the condition as well.
Yeah, I don't have age and gender on either. One patient refused service, right? Really, they weren't injured. The second patient, however, was seriously injured and is at an area trauma center.
Are you including them in the at least 7 people?
We don't know yet if they're part of that 7.
Okay.
The patient is injured severely enough that we've not been able to debrief that patient.
That 7 number, did that come from people witnessing cars going down? Like, where did that number come from? Or is that just from the sonar hits that you got?
No, that was the initial information that we got as we were arriving on the scene, that number. And that number, again, as I said earlier, has fluctuated, right? That 7 has been a consistent number.
How many agencies are here assisting right now with this recovery?
Yeah, dozens. I mean, locally, fire department wise, Baltimore County's here, Howard County's here, Hartford was here, PG was here, Anne Arundel, of course, Baltimore City. And a lot of those agencies are here by virtue of the fact that they may have specialized equipment that we need during an incident like this. So we're bringing in the equipment specific to the operation right now. And then even law enforcement agencies have a lot of the same marine ops equipment as we do. So given the incident is so big, we try to force multiply and just bring as many resources in as we can so that we can really blanket a large area for a search.
What about the fuel spill? What kind of resources are you bringing in to mitigate that?
We've not been able to confirm that we actually have an active fuel spill from the vessel. We've had odors of diesel fuel. The Maryland Department of the Environment is here, as well as the Coast Guard, so they would take leads on that as well. We hope as the sun comes up a little bit with the air assets that are up to get a much better picture, if we do have a fuel spill, what the impact has been so far.
Talk about the air assets that are up as the daylight comes up. How's that going to impact that with those resources?
Yeah, Maryland State Police has been here. Foxtrot is also working this. There are 2 air resources right now. I don't know that we won't bring any more in, but right now they're the 2 primary. you know, air reconnaissance on something on the open water is just, it's an invaluable resource. And we've been very fortunate to have it, because as we put people out in the dark on the water to conduct searches, they have that degree of overwatch from those assets. So it's been an invaluable resource for us.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Executive, we're talking about search and rescue. I know that, and that's where the focus is right now. I was awakened with this news. We're all awakened with this news. I've seen the video. What do you make of the totality of this incident? What are you thinking about what you've seen and what this community's experienced now?
Well, this is a tragedy that you can never imagine, right? And I was awake when Chief Wallace called me, but never would you think that you would physically see the Key Bridge tumble down like that. It looked like something out of an action movie. And you just think about, most importantly, and which is what we all should be thinking about right now, nothing but those families and people that are impacted, and those people who are risking their lives right now, from not just Baltimore City and Baltimore County, but all over this state, to try to save lives. That should be our focus, the preservation of life, because no one wants to see that happen, let alone someone in their family, someone that they know, be injured in an incident like this.
We'll take two more questions.
Your thoughts about what this community is experiencing this morning.
Look, I think that folks are stunned. I think folks are reeling. And I think that's particularly true for people who are worried about their loved ones right now. I think there'll be plenty of time to talk about what this bridge means to the community, what it means for commerce, but at the end of the day, right now this is about the humanity of people who are impacted and the men and women who are out there trying to save lives and recover folks off the bridge. So I think there'll be plenty of opportunity to talk about that, but really right now and for the foreseeable hours ahead, this is really about focusing on the search and rescue efforts. And I want to just again thank the Chief for his leadership and for all of the affiliated partners that we have working on this.
Chief, I know there's the fact that this could have been intentional, that this could be some kind of act of terrorism or intentionally hitting the bridge.
That's not my focus here, ma'am. That's part of the law enforcement investigations. I would defer to the proper authorities for that.
And actually, can I ask, we saw something similar to this happen in Philly when 95 came, a portion of that came down. I know you said that you guys have spoken to Secretary of Transportation, I'm assuming Buttigieg. Has he made any comment about the assistance like we saw in Philly being rushed through to get this taken care of?
No, thank you. I spoke with Secretary Buttigieg directly. He and his team said that they're going to obviously work with us throughout this incident and work with not just the city and county, but really the state of Maryland to make sure that we have every resource that he and the federal government can provide.
How long is it going to take to rebuild this, Mayor?
I think right now, sir, listen, we shouldn't even be having that discussion right now. The discussion right now should be about the people, the souls, the lives that we're trying to save. There will be a time to discuss about a bridge and how we get a bridge back up. But right now, there are people in the water that we have to get out, and that's the only thing we should be talking about.
To go back to the question about the terrorism, there is absolutely no indication that there's any terrorism, that this was done on purpose. Our criminal intel is working with the FBI and other federal and state agencies to get all the intel that we have, but there's absolutely no indication that it was intentional.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, I want to thank you all. I will be advising you, updating you on the next briefing.
Will that be here, Kevin?
And again, you just heard from several Baltimore officials there, Baltimore County Fire. Just to give you a little wrap up here, a timeline, at about 1:40, they received a call for water rescue, and then about 10 minutes later, that bridge, the Francis Scott Key Bridge that you see right here, live look from Skytrack 7, completely collapsed. Again, that was at 1:50. We do know that multiple people were on that bridge at the time. Now, when they got there, they were able to rescue 2 people who fell into the water. One of those people was transported to a nearby hospital. The other refused any treatment. So that's 2 people, and As far as we know right now, we're hearing upwards of 7 people that are unaccounted for.
And they really don't have an exact number on that. There was another number tossed around, possibly 20 people, but the fire chief saying they're looking at possibly 7 is the number he's going with. And the dive teams from other nearby jurisdictions are on their way. All kinds of water crews are on their way to help out. It's been a very difficult search and rescue operation all night long since 1:30 because it's been dark. It's cold out there. The water temperature is, I think Eileen said, 47 degrees, very cold. Plus the water's murky. There's current, and the debris is just clogging the Baltimore port there. So nobody's getting in or out right now. And of course, that side of the Baltimore interstate is closed for now.
Still a very active situation, of course, hearing from the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott, saying that the most important thing right now is the preservation of life. In the meantime, let's go over to Lindsay Masters at the alert desk. She's following the latest developments as well. Lindsay.
Yeah, and I wanted to actually show you a different live shot right now because the sun is starting to come up. Full sunrise isn't until after 7 o'clock, but go ahead and take a look because we're getting a better look at the container ship right here. And the camera keeps moving around. You can even see parts of the bridge. Now, I was taking a look at that cargo ship, and it was supposed to be leaving Baltimore and headed to Sri Lanka. It's a Singaporean flagged vessel. We're not exactly sure what all it was transporting, but a very, very large vessel there that ran into the bridge, and you just see pieces of it. The crews during that news conference we just heard from were talking about just how much they have to search. This is a very large bridge. It's a very large ship. So we're going to continue to stay with this. In fact, as soon as we're done here, you can flip over to 24/7, WJLA 24/7. I'll be continuing our coverage there as well. And we're going to be back just shortly with some more information for you.
Our coverage of the Baltimore bridge collapse continues right now with our Joy Wang. She's live near the scene. Joy, what are you seeing now?
Yeah, so we actually just got an update from the mayor as well as police and fire, and we did hear from police, and they were saying that there's no indication that this is intentional, no indication of terrorism, because there were some questions about that. But right now, this is a search and rescue mission that is continuing. They're looking for at least 7 people. They did rescue 2 people from the water. We're told one of them wasn't injured and refused any help. The other person seriously injured in the hospital. There are a lot of concerns right now during this search and rescue operation. It's difficult to see in this water. The water is also very cold. We're also told to, because it is unstable and unsafe, this bridge is, since it has collapsed. And so right now, first responders really working through a lot of those details. They also have sonar technology that they're using, and so they are aware of vehicles in the water. They don't have a number for just how many, but all throughout the morning, that information has continued to change. At one point, you were hearing they're looking for 20 people, but we do know right now that number is at least 7 people they are searching for right now. Live in Baltimore, Joy Wang, back to you.
Now, your traffic and weather together, always within 7 minutes.
Right now, here in the DMV, we are being greeted with an absolutely beautiful sunrise. Our next weather maker is going to bring us some showers tomorrow, but we do have an easterly wind today, and we were just hearing that might impact the rescue efforts, because with that increase of water kind of pushing on shore, next tide is at 8:20 this morning, so coastal